What the fuck is going on, everybody? I'm your host, Nick Bachlis. This is the WTF show, Winning the Flex. And, have you guys ever thought how a Tinder will work with the Bestball community, right? Have you ever thought about, what? I don't get swiped much. I don't get matches because, unfortunately, God made me ugly. Well, I have good news for you where you could control this. You could control if people want to swipe or I'm sorry, smash or pass. And I am brought by a special guest. This just came out today. Very excited to check out and talk this up with my boy Big Loaf. Welcome in. How are you doing, my friend?
Good. You're a cute man. Don't you call yourself ugly, all right?
Oh,
Your
I
crush
wasn't
knows
talking
likes on Tinder.
I wasn't talking about myself, but
All
just
right, my bad. All right, maybe some of you guys. The way data works or the numbers work, one of
yeah.
person in the stream's got to be ugly. I don't know who it is, but someone. That's just how the law of
Yeah,
averages work.
yeah. That's a great point. I will say I'm not the one wearing the mask, so you
Oh,
know,
all right. I like
uh,
it. I like it. I like it.
I'm kidding, but welcome in, Big Love. Very excited to have you on, but I kind of want you to kind of just tell me how you're feeling because this is a huge deal. Twitter's loving it. People are posting a bunch of stuff on it. So just kind of walk me through with how the launch went and how you're feeling.
Yeah, man, great. Last night, it's been live for like almost 24 hours now, but it just wasn't like publicly posted. I let some of the boys and some other people who wanted to try it out test it last night. I think I went to bed. We had around 3,000 total votes and around 20 players in the player base. We're close to 50 now and almost have, I think, 7,000, 8,000 votes. We just cleaned up the DB a little bit, so it might be a little smaller, but
Hmm.
I feel great. I can't believe the response has been this good. I mean, I wouldn't have made it if I didn't think it was a cool product, but I'm blown away by the numbers and the support so far. So I'm feeling grateful. That's how I'm fucking feeling.
Heck yeah. I think this is an awesome tool. One of the things, especially in the summer, is everybody's right. There's no wrong takes. Everyone wants to, gloat about their teams and they want to, basically, masturbate on their teams. They're sending it to the group chats, to their homeboys, whatever. This is actually something that you could actually do actively where it kind of gives you, hey, this is how other people actually view your team. And I'm gonna be pulling it up right now. And what I want you to do is just kind of explain what it is and just kind of like what it does right now.
Will do, will do. While you're getting that pulled up, I will say for anyone familiar with Polymarket, that betting exchange, that's kind of where the foundation of this idea came from as a way to like, market based like implied odds of, just how good a team is. So like that was the inspiration is just kind of like letting the market try to dictate how good or not good these teams were. My initial worry was like, well, we're going to need a kind of a big sample for that for these users, but like there are some
Yeah.
people right now I think they have over 1,000 total votes just on like their own teams, and so I like to think that's not going to be a problem for us.
Yeah, no. I mean, like you said, over 50 users already. I think this is only going to explode. Um, so right here, this is draft or pass. This is the layout right here where, as you can see, you could pick between these two teams, right? You get to look at the structure and kind of like what team you like better. I'm going to it, and okay, funny thing is, this is I swear this was a complete accident, but I was trying it out right before stream, and I'm looking at both teams, and I'm like, hey, this is a pretty nice team right now. And I click the left where before you choose who you think is a better team, it's unknown. You don't know who it is. I click it and I see my own name. So I maybe I remember this team subconsciously from a long time ago, but this is kind of an example of it.
Yeah, the anon angle was something we kind of added last minute. Initially, we weren't even going to display any of that, and it was just going to have it
Yeah.
go to the next team. But I feel like the PvP element is really enticing to people. We're working on trying to condense all this down so that it's like an easy to share screenshot, kind of similar to like when you post an underdog draft. This
Hmm.
is what we had for now for V1. I think it's good, but like our goal is to kind of make this socially, shareable with everybody. And right now, I think it does an all right job of doing that. But I definitely think we're gonna have some improvements in the near future.
For sure. So for example, I voted on this team, and then we'll go to the next matchup, and then right away pulls up, like you said, this is all randomized, right?
Correct. And I will
Okay.
say it doesn't display the contest that this is in yet. That's also something else we're going to work on. But as of now, and then maybe forever, you're only going up the matchup. So whoever's only
Yeah.
going up against a player in the same contest. So if it's a BBM, your opponent's going to be a BBM. If it's a puppy, your opponent's going to be a puppy, and things along that lines.
Yeah, okay, great. So obviously, there's no way you could get where this is a big board team with 20 rounds compared to BBM 18 rounds.
I do like to think that people could compare the two, but I think just for, adoption purposes, it's probably easier not to display like mismatch. Like I don't think we should have a DraftKings team in there versus underdog team. Obviously, like that makes no sense.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So this is it right here, draft or pass. So, I'm gonna let's do this together, right? So you see the structure 2-5-8-3 on the left, you see a 3-6-7-2 on the right. So when you're looking at this, what's kind of the first thing that you're trying to I guess separate for which team you like to be better?
Definitely the running back room for me. I am like,
Okay,
when in the flex, we'll stay on brand for you, baby. I
let's go.
definitely want running backs to hit my flex this year. And like, I'm okay with taking 4 early enough to where it's like, hey, one of them might not even touch it. I think there's a big edge to be gained from the overdrafting,
Mm,
overlauding at running back. Hashtag go high T strategy. So running back room's the biggest one for me. I always start there to see like, okay, if your RB3 is, I'm trying who would be a good example. Isaac Garendo,
yeah.
I'm probably not in love with that team.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that because Isaac Randall, who could be an amazing handcuff, but he doesn't project to really hit your lineup unless CMC gets hurt. Um, what about this is interesting because both teams have Gibbs and Cooks, which both project to be, obviously starters and produce points. Walker Junkins are a weaker version, but both you could project to hit your lineup. Mason and Stevenson are kind of weird players that I feel like fall into like the flex category a little bit. So so what's your cutoff for the RBs? Do you consider Mason one to be a part of that, where you wouldn't mind as your third, or you're trying to get one before Mason?
I'm definitely trying to get one before Mason. That also kind of depends on like if I go Bijan and then A Chain or something to start, that
Yeah,
may change things a little bit. Mason and Ramondre are normally my RB4 or RB5 on my squads. Where like if they step up to that RB like 2/flex level, that's awesome. But like I don't want to be relying on that at the
yeah,
start of the season. So like those Ramondre and him. Ramondre's normally a 4 or 5, and so is Mace. Like most drafts through 10 rounds, I have 5 wide receivers and five running backs almost exclusively.
yeah. I love that. I feel like I've built a lot of teams that way. Yeah, and we'll go over that obviously strategy when we're doing a BBM. But so for example, let's just pick which one we think is better, right? The RB room I think is better on the left team than the right team.
I am definitely in agreement on that.
Okay. And if we go to receivers, Lad, Terry, Chris Olave, Addison, Hollywood, double free agent receivers right now, which I mean, I don't know if this was drafted. That's the one thing too, is like you don't know when these teams are drafted, right? So
We could
that's
display that. Like that is in your CSV. It's not displayed yet. Like we're obviously not looking at that like right now or like
of
even
course,
us
yeah.
internally, but someone just commented, said def a spend team on the left, which would I was gonna say, like I'm pretty familiar with how my boys draft. I will bet any amount of money that that team on the left is from Bet Spreader. Any amount that it's
Interesting.
from Bet, unless it's mine and I
Interesting.
forgot because I love that Keenan Amara Deontay finish. But like that's not for me having access to this. I just know how my boys draft. That team is absolutely Bet Spreader on the left.
Yeah, I do like this team. I think the running backs I love more than this. They have Bowers and Hawk, but I'm a big Kittle fan. So in the receivers, I think I take on the left. I don't. It's tough, but we're gonna choose on the left, and because I want to see.
And there it is.
And there you go, best spreader. You called it. You knew it. And one thing that's so awesome is so every time that someone votes, is it displays the win loss record and the percent.
Correct.
which is I think badass because as it keeps on going, you're gonna have it where it's like 40, 70, right? Like it's just gonna keep on tracking it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how high this gets up, and I'm really excited about is to see like the number one overall finish team, whatever that is, coming like 7th place. And it's pod and not even make it out.
which so if we go to the leaderboard right here, this keeps track of every team that's been voted on.
Correct.
And and so basically the leaderboard is the basically it's the wins you have, not the percent,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oh, well, and you could even view that team as
Yes, you
well.
can, brother.
Whoa, this okay. This is awesome. I'm getting surprise after surprise. So this is the best team right now, right? I mean, from a win percent, there's a couple
Oh,
other.
on time on that, I would say like I don't have a. We're gonna work on maybe like for the leaderboard having like a minimum vote count for you to get displayed maybe moving forward, depending on if that's near it up. But I would value win percent higher over total wins. A lot of the people at top right now are just the folks that got to beta test, so their teams have just shown up more in the pool than like people who've gotten to sign up
Mm,
today. But as long as it has, I'd say like 15, 20 votes, then I'm absolutely valuing the win percentage over the like just raw number of wins and losses.
yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, that does seem more more appropriate. But as you can see, we have our boy Sean Mitchell who's in the chat. He's up here, right? I think like 6, 7 plays, which is awesome because you could view the team and you could be like, you know what, this actually makes sense. Like this is a team that looks like it's gonna crush it. Or you could be like, what the hell is everyone smoking? Why is this team everyone voting on? This team sucks. It doesn't suck, but I'm just saying that obviously you could have
I love
different.
that team from Omega, and Omega's my boy, but I am surprised at the 40 and 23. That one there's probably more of like a toss up. Like I'd say that's like a 50 team, maybe a
50-50,
little bit
yeah.
higher to like the win over loss side. But like I got to say, like I am somewhat surprised that that one is the leading vote getter. But it's a solid squad. I mean, there's nothing about that. I'm like, what the fuck are people thinking right now?
Of course. And I think what's fun is as the summer progresses, is you're gonna be see some teams that you won't be able to get certain combinations anymore, right? So right, like Rasheed Rice was a third rounder, right? So if you see where how does this guy have CD Lamb, Devon Achan, Rasheed Rice, I don't know, something like that. Those teams are probably going to maybe do a little better because people are gonna be like, well, this team drafted earlier, got great value, ADP and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree on that. Something we're planning on working in. Sean trying to flex his win percentage. Yeah, he is down the line, like, probably not this week, maybe next, is on like that win loss percentage thing. We're thinking about implementing kind of like a weighted version of that adjusts for strength of schedule. So to say Omega's like average, like win loss percentage of the teams that he's went up against is like 45% or something. We would have like the weighted win loss percentage reflect that because it's like, well, yeah, you're
Yeah.
40 and 23, but a lot of the teams you would be in are not that strong. So that's something we're planning on adding in the near future.
Wow, I think that's awesome, and I'm sure you have many more ideas to
Too many.
implement. Too too many, too many. Um, okay, this is interesting too. So when you click on by user, this is everybody in the database, and it gives you the total win loss percentage.
Yeah, this is across all of your teams. This is where I think people will probably end up spending the most time on. Like if I outside of the voting, I think seeing your full portfolio is probably the most enticing for people. Maybe that's the wrong read, but can we find you on there? I know you only got uploaded 30 minutes ago. I'd be interested to see what
Yeah. So
you have at
right.
least one vote.
Whoa. So this is interesting. So I just legit updated this or uploaded maybe like 15, 20 minutes ago. And right here, 15 or 14 wins, 10 losses for your boy Nick Bach. But a 58% rate, which is pretty solid compared to everyone on this list.
Who's I don't want to snitch on it, but someone's gonna be the lowest on this leaderboard. Who
Oh,
who 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 is who would that be if you sort it by win loss percentage? I am curious. No offense to this person. I hope who's ever in last kills everybody. That's my dream, is the guy that gets shitted on the most.
well,
Fun
I
fun fact, Gritty's gonna be in the player pool soon. We got him to agree to do it.
I was
I don't
gonna
know if he's
mention
gonna be
him.
the lowest or not, but I know he catches the most flack. So I'd love to see Gritty come in and crush it.
I could see Gritty be the GameStop where everyone just rallies around him and just votes him every time. Back, people are like, screw it, let's just keep Gritty up, you
He is
know.
the one guy that I think, I know all the voting's anonymous, but he's probably the one guy in the whole player pool that it's gonna kind of tell on itself who the guy is if you're a degenerate on Bestball Twitter a little bit too much. Literally just
Yeah.
him. He's the only person I think that that's gonna be the case for.
No, I mean, I'm excited for that. And also, like, I think this is obviously going to be huge. You're going to see a lot more bigger streamers, I think, get a hold of it. And, this is for fun. People love fun. They love to have bragging rights and to also shit on other people. So I do think this is only going to get bigger. Couple questions. One was, is so like, obviously we're voting on teams. Are we gonna be able to track and see, or is there gonna be a way to track these teams that we're voting on and see how they do in the regular season and
That
playoffs?
is the plan. That is the plan, is for you to be able to see like who's doing what. Like an idea I thought of was we don't necessarily have access to like, like the underdog points things, but we could
Yeah.
potentially build a system to where as long as we have the half point PPR scores each week, we could write something that would like, be able to assign your team what its actual score would be, like, top quarterback, top two running backs, top three wide receivers, tight end and flex, like in like through like reverse engineering basically. I don't know if that's going to
Mhm.
be the exact system we end up going with. But yeah, the plan is for this to bleed into the to be entertaining while when the slate locks too.
Yeah, because I think that would be awesome to see kind of how the teams that were voted like the most wins, how they do obviously to the losses. If you take example of last year where if you had this last year and a lot of teams were popping up where it went like Barkley and Henry on the same team, I feel like a lot of those would be losses because people are like, you know what, why are you taking RB early? Don't you know Tank Dell over Derrick Henry is
And little
the
did they fucking
move?
know.
And little do they fucking know. And that's where I'm excited too, because I do think that there is a group think when it comes to the whole community and how we should build teams. But at the end of the day, no one truly knows how to build teams, right? You got to trust your gut, build in a way that you want to put your money with. So I am excited to see kind of how this works out. And then we can look back at the kind of like, it's data. It's be like, hey, this is what we all thought. And we were either right or wrong.
One thing I think you'll definitely be excited about after that comment is we do plan on adding player specific data at a certain point. So there'll be a player leaderboard to where like you'll be able to see Saquon Barkley's win loss, Devon A. Chain's win
Wow.
loss. And so like that might get a little weird in the midterm because some team is gonna have both of them, but
Yeah.
that shouldn't skew anything too bad. That shouldn't happen too often. I mean, there's only like an 8% chance of that happening or so, I guess, with 12 teams. But the plan is in the near future as well to add a player leaderboard and see like, okay, for whatever reason, like who is the highest like voted for player, whether intentionally or not. And I imagine it's gonna be some random guy that
Yeah.
no one even thinks of.
No, I think you're 100% right. Is there any possible way where, like, let's say going to next year, this is obviously gonna catch steam and be huge. You could have like a separate section where you could like giraffe certain owners or rank them or be like, here, I pick 5 people, like kind of like how Justin Herzig is doing with the fantasy best ball.
Yeah, potentially we're open to a lot of options. Like, in the honest answer is like a month from now, I bet we're going to be making things that today that we had no idea that we were going to be making. A cool idea someone gave us was like kind of like a draft simulator almost, but instead of like the whole draft, it's like it
Hmm.
shows you your roster and then like like 5 players around on the board, and then
Yeah.
you pick who you would select in that spot. Now we're not married to that, but like just to give you an idea of like the type of things that we're thinking about on the background here that we could play around with.
Of course, and then like I think let's break this down. How would Hugh Mays or sorry Hugh Hams get into the player pool?
All right, Hugh Hams, Hugh Hami, however you say it. The way you get into the player pool is if you go to that upload tab, which this when you load on the site, this will be the default
Hmm.
of where you go. Now it won't look like this because Nick's already signed in, but you'll have a link your Twitter option as well as like an email password and a sign up. You could either link your Twitter, sign up with your email and a password, or do both. Then after that, you just hit sign up, and then this screen will become like what you see after your signups finalized, and you'll just upload your underdog
Mhm.
exposure CSV into here, and then it takes care of the rest. I also wrote a big long thread about the product today, so if like anyone wants to read that or has any questions like how to upload the teams, I cover all of that in the thread I wrote this morning.
Yeah, so right now, if you guys want to upload, so you guys will start draft or pass in and see how you guys are doing, his Twitter and YouTube are linked into my description on my YouTube. Go check it out. It explains more on that. Sign up. It took me legit like 10 seconds to sign up. Really easy. And I know what I'm going to be doing later tonight. I'm going to be swiping, left and right, some choosing to see, and then I'll be checking on obviously myself and how Nick Bach is performing.
I'll shout out DeSnow1021 came in the chat. Milton is one of the nicest people I've ever met in
Oh,
my
is
life.
this
We
Milton
love, yeah, we love
Milton
Milton. So
Williams?
shout out Milton. Yep. Shout out Milton Williams, a real one if I've ever seen him.
No, I love Milton Williams. You're a great Twitter follower, and you're just a great guy in general. We all know the famous Milton. He stands up for the people.
Yes, he does.
So Jeremy says, I got top win percentage on the leaderboard. We'll enjoy it while I can.
What's Jeremy's sample at right now? If you mind pulling that up.
Of
Now,
course.
if you just
Okay.
click the win percentage button at the top, maybe it's not as intuitive. It would just sort by that.
Oh, there you go. So sorry, Jeremy. You're actually not the top. This guy, Cabra JSE. I'm just kidding. He's only one. But
Stop the
look,
count.
stop the count. But look, he is, I think this is him right here, right? Makes sense. Jared Jogo, 63.7%.
Yeah, you're number one. You're number one. It's okay. Like the sample size adjusted, you are number one. I will say, if anyone in here has like saw the thread earlier, there used to be a draft or pass and versus option, and the versus option is what is now draft or pass. But we quickly found out that the versus, now known as draft or pass, was the
Mhm.
preferred tool for people. I think it was something like 93% of the total votes were on versus compared to individual team where you just picked if you drafted it or passed it or not. So we removed that for the time being. We're going to work on ways to make that a little bit more enticing and try to make it a competitor of sorts to what is now known as the draft or pass. But it was just blowing it out of the water by so much. We kind of we made the executive decision like, why don't we just get this out of here for now and not
Mhm.
overcomplicate things? And whenever we come up with what we feel is a better idea to relaunch that, we'll put it back on the site.
No, that makes total sense. And then obviously, this is all anonymous. No one knows who they're voting for. They're just picking what team they think is the best and that could potentially win millions of dollars, right? I see my name in the top
You are up
two.
there.
Is it because they're watching my stream and they're like, we're just gonna try to get him? No, right? Like this is all basically saying that I know ball.
Yeah, unless these people know exactly how you draft and can pick your teams out of a haystack, that's anon. That's all earned, brother. You
That's all
give
right.
yourself, yes, sir.
Hey, if I needed to pick me up, this is certainly it. I love it. Um, so before we do get into a BBM, is there anything else you would want to go over, kind of talk about? Also, do you want to give flowers to your partner, Aiden, right? Aiden's the one that's been, helping with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I think it's Tist onion wings. I used to call it Tits onion wings on Twitter, which
It's
I quickly learned was not the right one. But
yeah.
this was just a harebrained idea I had no more than like 3 weeks ago, and I was trying to vibe code it out on GPT and quickly realized I'm not going to be able to do that. I tweeted it out and said, like, hey, anyone want to work on this with me? Aiden seemed interested. Reach out to him, and
Yeah.
that's the rest of the story. I also have Bill Monaghetti working on this. W Mong. He's up there on the
Okay.
leaderboard right there. You see him. He's
Yeah.
the COO of Unabated Sports. Hired me 5-6 years ago for like an NFT job in a startup company.
Oh
So if it
wow.
wasn't for Bill, I wouldn't even be here. And he's been a tremendous help with his wisdom that he has. But if Bill never hired me 5 years ago, I doubt I'm on the stream right now.
Well, shout out Bill. Sounds like a great man. Thanks for hiring Big Loaf, and to him creating one of the best things I've seen in a while. Also, yeah, Aiden, or Tits and Wings, Tristan Wings.
Sorry, Aiden.
Sorry, Aiden, but Aiden, Aiden's a brilliant mind because I maxed a dinger, did a lot of baseball. He came up with sweating dingers. If you guys aren't too familiar, where it basically keeps tracks of the advance rate, projections, way more stuff. He is so smart. He's always creating different ideas and stuff. He's great for the fantasy space. So if you don't give him a follow, he's a great ad. I'll put his Twitter in my description later, just because I think he's worth that with a follow.
He's a
So
babe.
definitely,
Aiden's a babe. We love Aiden.
yeah, he's a great guy. So real quick too, we have a question where it says, do you have to continually upload your CVS?
Yes. So the way it works is that like you have a little team ID associated with a draft on each team on that
Okay.
CSV, and the way it works is like what you upload initially under your username will get matched to you, and now the next time you go through and upload your CSV, which is going to have all of the same teams on it plus more teams, it will automatic as long as you're logged in, and I don't even know if you need to be, but definitely as long as you're logged in it will just update your team pool with the updated teams, and the teams that you already had in there won't change. But yeah, you do continually upload it like the more and more drafts you have. Correct.
Okay, awesome. I love that.
Good question.
Um, yeah. That's because I was curious about that as well. So basically, if I upload 250 teams, then I draft 50 more times. Those 50 teams, I need to just upload again.
Yeah, and you could just upload the same CSV. It won't matter that you upload dupe teams. That's already taken care of on the back end. So it's literally the
Okay.
same process. You just do it again, and the site will make it so that only 50 get uploaded.
So another question, I assume is just it's just for non-eliminator marathon and stuff.
For now, yeah. For now, like I mean, technically, you could upload that into there. I think some people have. I haven't got a chance to play around with it yet, and like that's probably
Hmm.
why like there's people who've been in there either since this morning or last night that have a very small sample. Now, some of that is they just don't have a lot of teams, so they don't show up a lot. Another part of that is like if you have a bunch of eliminators and nobody else really uploaded theirs, those teams aren't going to get matched to another eliminator team because, like I said earlier, it
Okay.
has to be the same contest. But we do have some stuff planned for the eliminator and marathon and like that. And you can get it in there right now, but my guess is those teams are I would go as far as say probably sub 1% of the total teams in the pool right now. But they do exist and you can upload them if you want to. They just might not get votes as much as the normal stuff would, but like you can put them in there.
Yeah. No, of course. And this just launched today. Like there's so much more that's gonna come. This is just the start of it too. But so far, it's been great. On a side note, I did enter us into a BBM. 9 more people, if anyone wants to come draft with us. 30-sec clock as well. Just throwing it out there. But this is very exciting stuff right now. And and then so like for example, if I refresh the screen, will it refresh the new
Yes.
votes?
Yeah. Like so let's see, you have 21 and 12. We'll remember that. Go ahead and
Uh
refresh it and we'll go
so
back to it and see if you got any updates yet.
so I refresh and oof,
Sort it by win percentage again. Yeah, because it doesn't save how you sorted it. You're 26 and 17
6%.
now.
Okay. I
I
feel like
can't believe how many you guys are voting. I love you guys so much. I cannot believe the vote volume that
wow.
we're getting already.
No, I mean if you look right here too by team, I mean you got no actually win loss. I mean look at this. You have Chaz Michael. What is this? Over 1,000 times already voted
Yeah,
on?
and he's definitely benefiting from probably maxing every fucking contest that has been posted. So the more teams you have, I will say I would imagine the quicker you because like me, I'm down there. I haven't done BBMs and stuff. Yeah, I was the first
Okay.
guy in the pool, but mine are all like puppies, schnauzer, like the smaller stuff. So like that is probably why like I'm not getting matched as heavily because I just don't have as
Yeah.
many teams. I think I have 102 in my current CSV.
Okay, so more teams obviously makes sense, more likely you'll match.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
the time being, but like, and probably just as it goes on. I mean, if you have more teams, you're more likely to come up in the votes.
Now, do you have so like this is obviously, I mean, I don't know if you can answer this, but is there like in your mind, is there a certain like is there any EV in this where it's like, oh, like teams that have like a 55% wins are actually drafting better? They're, maybe it's because they're structurally the teams are better. Like what's your thoughts on that? Is there anything to take away from
I think what we stand to gain from like everything we collect data wise isn't so much like, oh, like the 55% win thing on like an individual team. I think it's more
yeah.
so in terms of like structures. So we could
Okay.
find out, and like the market favoring it doesn't even mean it's right necessarily. But if we find out that like, 3, 5, 7 threes have like a way higher vote rate than like the rest of the builds, like relative to what you would
Hmm.
expect, like that kind of tells us something. And then like, 2, 6, 8 twos or lower, elite quarterback, draft capital allotment's a big one. I really want to get us start to display like the draft capital investment by position on the screen too, to help people make a more educated choice. So I wouldn't say like, I have that a team with a 59% like vote rating is necessarily a higher EV one, but it is what the market prefers. And after this season, we'll have more of an answer to that, assuming this keeps going up and the samples increase, because I need to
Yeah.
tally it up again, but there's probably 7,000 votes on there already. So
Yeah.
it's a
With
lot of data.
ton of data, ton of votes, gonna keep going. And kind of like honestly, like the win percentage, it could maybe it's a bad thing in a way where last year, if maybe most people were voting for teams that drafted 4 or 5 receivers in a row. So like everyone's like, yeah, I love that team. So the teams that had the Barkley, Henry, Joe Mixons, whatever, were probably lower than like the
That'll
average
be an
team.
interesting one to see too, at the end
Yeah.
of the season. Like, oh, like people really hated this for whatever reason. Also, I noticed there's two comments talking about Darren Waller right now, and I could be wrong. I'm not a genius. Do not fucking draft Darren Waller, okay? Do not draft Kelsey Plum's ex-boyfriend, who is now a rapper. He's been in the league what, 2 years? What are we doing? What are we doing?
Man, so I haven't really that is we could talk about Water a little bit. So you won't take him in the 18th round if you have like Tua Tagovailoa, no
Nah,
stack.
I'll take Jawan Johnson or
Yeah.
something. Nah, I think he's washed. It's so hard for me to justify that click, like Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper. Like everyone hates that for some reason, but like Darren Waller signs the day after John get traded and everybody's in. Like I can't conceptualize how that makes sense. So no, I'm very anti on the Darren. He might not even make the team. I think they're going to trade for somebody or sign somebody. I don't think
What
Darren Waller's going to be their starting tight end.
so it's very interesting because I mean obviously the odds are against Waller. Something came out where he said he quit football because he was a fullback for 3 plays in a row. Right? Like he didn't like the way that the Giants used him, so he retired, whatever. He doesn't have the same passion, but I do believe that the OC is the same OC he had for 3 years with the Raiders, right?
Is
I,
that
I
true? I've been busy on this all this. The Waller stuff
yeah,
I haven't got to digest.
that's the only thing that I think bullish is for Waller is obviously if they trade for another tight end like Mayers, no fan, obviously like that's obviously hurts Waller. But if they go into the season with Waller, I do think the OC he had with the Raiders 3 years ago is the same OC now. Um, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's some familiarity with that. So that's the only thing that's kind of keeping me with that. He is 33 too, but it's like we've seen these tight ends at older ages could produce. Waller's one that was athletically gifted. We
You
don't
see
know
that
if he
rap video? Have you seen the rap video?
oh the rap video is terrible.
All right, well, I need
Yeah.
aura. My players, I demand that they have fucking aura. All right, I'm obviously joking, but like I could just wait. If I want to actually attack it, wait a month. Big deal that he gets steamed up to 170 compared to 210. That's like $2 worth of draft capital. If it's looking like that, like, oh shit, like he's really the guy, then I think you can start adding him, and it's okay that you pay a slightly higher cost. Whereas now, I think the odds are it's 4 months from now, and you're going through your BBMD or even draft or pass, and you're like, why the fuck did I draft Darren Waller? Like, who was a
That
guy like that last year? Like, there were a few dudes that just like popped up that got some steam every once in a while, and then
yeah,
I was
that's a
looking back,
cool.
it's like, oh, I don't know about this. Where are we filled? Are we locking into draft mode?
Well, one more left for a 30-second BBM. One more left so we could have this team in the draft or pass.
All right, all right. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Then now Underdog might only send you your exposure CSV once a day, so you might have to upload it tomorrow unless they change that rule. I'll concede on the or part of. All right, thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you're willing to meet me in the middle here.
Yeah. I mean, it is weird. It's so weird. There's so many Titans in the league that it's just weird that they would settle for Darren Waller. I don't
That's a
know.
good way to put it. I think like To me, the Dolphins, like, and if FFB Wizard is here, shout me out earlier. I love you, buddy. If you are, me and him got into like a debate yesterday about like the Dolphins, and like to me, they're operating as a team that just doesn't seem like they're in win now mode.
Yeah.
Like with who they traded. Now, if Waller is their starting tight end at the beginning of the season, I'll be even more married to that belief. But I just have such a hard time believing that he's going to get out there at 33.
Yeah, it is
They
belief,
traded
man.
for him. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, they traded for him.
What? He wasn't free?
Bro, no, they gave up a swap or something with the Giants. Weird. I didn't even know he was under contract still. So they did reach out. They're like, hey, can we do this? And then they signed him to like a 1 year, $5 million deal. So that is why I do think that they do plan on using Waller in this offense,
What is
because
that team doing? Who is trading for Darren Waller in 2025?
it's a poverty franchise. We don't know why they do what they do, but that's what I'm saying. Like in the 18th round, if I have Tua, Waller's there, I have a Bucks thing going. It's like, it could be worse.
I'd rather take Nick Westbrook-Akine or Malik Washington. My other hot take is I think NWI should be drafted in 100% of drafts now. I think he should be like consistently a 17th round pick, 16th round pick that's always off the board. I don't know enough about Malik yet. I need to see how
Yeah,
he's progressed, but I'm a big believer in like, if you score touchdowns and have explosive plays, at worst, you belong in the league. I'm not going to pretend to know exactly how good you are or where you land on
yeah.
that scale, but NWI is an NFL player at the very worst to me. And he was good last year, like in my opinion.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look. I mean, you could score like players score random touchdowns all the time, but he was on such a heater. Like I think he scores like 16 touchdowns the last 2 years or something crazy like that. Um, but I do agree. I do click Malik Washington. I have clicked NKI as well. And real quick, draft just filled. We're live. We're live, fellas. And I see a couple people. I see FK Coolers is with us. And I think Jared Jogo, the guy with the number one draft or pass percentage, is in here as well.
Oh, we're fucked.
Yeah, yeah. He gets a turn too. So this is gonna be interesting. And then if anyone else is in here, comment down below. I'll shout you out. But we have the ninth spot right now doing these drafts. How are you feeling when it comes to drafting in the first round?
If I'm early, like it's so hard for me not to take these running backs, man. Like if one of Saquon, Bijan, Gibbs, or CMC, I might have said CMC twice, is on the board, I'm taking them. I wish
Okay.
I could stop myself, but I can't. Also, what's going on my camera? Where's this blur coming from? Is it coming
Oh,
from here?
the sunlight's coming out of nowhere.
All right, there you go.
There you
I'll
go.
tilt to the left, but yeah, I'm very. It's become harder and harder for me to kick a wide receiver in round one just because I love like the floor and ceiling. Like I've even if CMC's not there at 9, like in my drafts, I'm willing to pull Derrick Henry up to there.
Okay, so because let's say CMC does goes, I think Devon Achan, I do have him above Henry. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I think Devon Achan, obviously with the Johnny news, is a huge win. And I love Devon Achan, how he projects in this offense. Gibbs won't fall to us, but I would love Gibbs. Gibbs is one of my highest drafted players this year. I'm always down for CMC. Gent, so it sounds like Gent. So you have Henry over Genty.
Yeah, Henry and
Yeah.
Achan over Genty. My rankings are like Henry's my 4th overall player, and I think Achan's like my 6th.
Okay, so definitely RB heavy. What about receivers? Is there any receivers that you like,
Oh,
or is
I
it
like all of them. I like the running backs more. Like it's like oh fuck yeah, that's
so
CMC,
so
right?
so we get CMC? Yeah, yeah, 100% okay with drafting CMC. Which and then two, like we'll get a receiver we like if we want. If not, I'm totally cool with going another RB as well. So that's beautiful. CMC lock and loaded. If he stays healthy, it's hard to see him not being a top 2, 3 RB.
Yeah, I'm willing to take the chance on it. I get that the wheels could fall, but they could fall off on any player. Anyone could get hurt at
Yeah.
any given time. Like I'm 26. I would go as far to say Christian McCaffrey is like the fantasy goat of my lifetime. Either him or Antonio Brown. One of those two is the goat. And I'm
Yeah.
not fading the goat until the goat has shown me that I should fade him, and I don't think he has yet.
No, too. And some bullish news, he did get the same treatment that George Kittle got before last year. And George Kittle was healthy last year, had one of his best seasons. So I think CMC is fully locked and loaded.
You see that
And that,
picture with him with Bijan, dude?
oh
He's built.
yeah,
That dude's a man.
he's a monster. And I do think CMC, like, he has one more season left where he just balls out. So we're on the clock.
AJ or Henry, I leave it up to you. They're right next to each other in my rankings. This is your BBM.
Yeah.
I will emotionally support you on either of these picks and be happy about it.
This is obviously going to be, a Nick and Big Loaf team. We're going to create a monster, but I think Achan. The reason why I like both. I like Achan and Henry, but Achan to me is kind of similar to CMC, where both could catch 80 plus passes. Could be in good offenses. Devon Achan, I think he's going to rise as well too. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, probably.
Hit the Twitterverse is citing all these stats about Devon Achan, Hayden Winks. You have a lot of the big people who are just saying Devon Achan's a first rounder. Devon Achan's a first rounder. So I think Devon Achan is going to surpass Henry as the season goes on. Maybe not, because casuals love drafting the big
Now,
dog.
one thing I want to add on at least like the A-Chain Henry debate or just like Eddie Miami is like I do think like and not even just too injury wise. I do think the downside risk of all the Miami guys is just a little bit higher. Just like they might not be competitive come the end of the season. Like this could be wrong. Like this is my read. So like I am a little worried about if two is not there, it's going to fall off a cliff. If they're not competitive
Yeah.
come week 15, like what happens? So whereas like the Ravens, like it's going to take a lot to throw them off. Even if Lamar wasn't like the QB and they ran their backup, I think they would be a better squad than Miami within whoever their backup is. So like that's my only worry on the Miami guys is just like I
Hmm.
do think there's some the floor could potentially be a little bit lower than people give it credit for, but with how condensed that offense looks, I'd argue the floor got lower, but the ceiling got higher after the Jonnu trade. I know that kind of sounds weird, but it's like, come on, they're a team that just traded for Darren Waller. You're not fucking worried
Yeah.
about a team that just traded for Darren Waller? You should be. I think that makes sense.
It definitely makes sense. As Sean says, Achan went 10 in the Corgi.
Damn, he
Uh,
getting
I
the first round.
I saw Achan go in the seventh overall pick. Earlier this morning. It's just people. I just think people overreact to news all the time. So people are like, you know, John is gone. Devon Achan, let's move him 8 spots. I don't know. I feel like Achan obviously moves up a little bit, but it's obviously like you said, where trade for Darren Waller could be a landmine. It could be where the Dolphins are not a playoff team. Why send Devon Achan out there and bang his small frame while the big dog is trying to secure the number one seed, right? So that is a good point. But I mean, I love the start. I mean, CMC Devon Achan, I think, is one of the best starts you could do because if you look at the ceiling, both could be in good offenses, catch 80 plus balls. Both could, score the long touchdowns. Like, I think this is one of the better starts. And also, it kind of goes against the grain where it's like more, I still think it's more receiver heavy, obviously, an underdog. So if I could kind of go against that and be a little unique pairing two RBs like the upside these two have, I'll do it every time.
It's insane that Underdog's the wide receiver heavy platform, and it's the half PPR compared
Yeah.
to DK, which I have rants on. I'm not gonna. The market does not have it right now. Until there are 15 RBs in the first like 25 picks, the market has not correctly adjusted for the new style of NFL. Passing attempts are down, passing yards are down. Now,
Hmm.
some people make the argument that boosts wide receivers' value, which I agree with in a way, but you still have to jam the running backs. Like whenever that happens, I don't know how much best ball I'm gonna play because I'm worried that the edge is gone. But right now, the edge is here, and it's the fact
Yeah.
that you could get Saquon Barkley and Bijan at 3 or 4, and not 1 or 2 at where they should go, in my opinion.
No, I think that's a great point. I'll speak on that after we make this pick. So this is a weird spot always. I pull guys up, are you elite quarterback here sometimes? Do you have a receiver? Like who's your favorite receiver if there is one or
Ted
are
McMillan's definitely my favorite in terms of like the
okay.
elite QB. I do like elite quarterbacks, but with how cheap other guys are at the back of the draft, I find it better to like jam in the positions that I'm going to have to start the most of, and I'll build a quarterback room in the aggregate with guys like Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix, and like Bryce Young, for
I think
example.
that's
But I like
great.
Terry there too as well. I have no beef with Terry, but
Yeah,
I
so
think Ted has top 5 overall wide receiver upside. I'm a big Ted guy this year. The Panthers, I think, are all undervalued.
100%. Couple things to that point is one is I'm trying to get a little unique with the 3-4 turn because I feel like it's such a flat tier. So if I think Tet is similar to Terry, I'll just take Tet so I could have a unique pairing, with the third and fourth rounder. Obviously, BBM, Tet, I do think is going to rise. I think there's going to be reports. Tet's going to fall more to the 3-4 turn and keep going. But huge fan of Tet. And I mean, so we're up next. If Kyron falls, do you jump on that for the third RB? Are you against Kyron?
I'm probably gonna end up with the feel for him. Like this is always the frame I put it in. If I had one draft and I was gonna live or
Yeah,
die, whether it advanced and made the playoffs or not, I go James Cook here. But that's a one time thing. Like the
gotcha.
heavy RB
Okay.
approach is great for advancing, but it could mess
Yeah,
things up come the playoff pod times. You need to have wide receiver ceiling. So there's certain times where like I can't take a RB
yeah.
because I
So
need a wide receiver that to help my floor. So I don't mind more Worthy Williams there, but like James Cook's probably 20 spots above like all those guys in my like rankings. And my rankings adjust for positional scarcity
yeah,
too.
yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. So let's go. Who's your favorite between these three? We can even do Smith and hope for Hurts, which probably won't happen, but
Probably Worthy.
okay, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, probably Worthy there. This tier's really flat. I will say I'm very low on Smith. I think that offense can be very run heavy. I don't think they're going to
Hmm.
run a lot of plays, and I think his contingency value is there. Don't get me wrong, but I think you're really paying for it
Yeah.
currently with that at that current price tag. His weekly volume's just not there. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine that Devonta Smith doesn't get outscored by. I'm going to give like a name a lot further down the board here of someone like Jacoby Myers or Chris Olave. I'm pretty confident they're
Hmm.
going to outscore him if it's a
Yeah.
bearing health, then on points per game basis, of course.
Yeah, if the Eagles do the same thing they did last year, it's hard to see the upside in that offense. Obviously, they're going to want to run the ball. The defense is still very elite, so unless Barkley gets hurt, it's hard to see really Smith and AJ Brown hit the upside. Definitely can, I think they're great receivers, but the focus is Barkley. I did
I'm
want to
also
go.
really low on Jalen Hurts. He's, I think, compared to consensus and draft capital, he's like the lowest quarterback, like in that. So, like, he's like the guy that I have like rank lowest in terms of draft capital relative to where he actually goes. And again, it's nothing against him. I just think there'll be a run heavy team. The pass
Yeah.
volume's not going to be there, and they can't fucking fall down on the 1 yard line forever. They're going to
Hey,
not do that at some point. They're just going to fall in before the 1 yard line, hopefully.
that's what I've been hearing the last few years, and
I
it seems
know,
like
I know.
every time it's crazy because I know, Swift fell down like 8, 9 times, and then Barkley actually had one of the unluckiest fall down rates in like the inside the two. And then obviously what they do. They do the tush push.
Chuba's gone, my boy, my highest exposure player probably in terms of like draft capital spent.
Yeah, there's a couple questions. First, I want to go back to where how I've been building teams where I think is the most optimal is I like to wait in the early hundreds to like the 150s to take three quarterbacks. That to me is just the pocket zone because there's RBs and the receivers I'm not a big fan of during the hundreds. There's RBs I like, tight ends I love, but I just think that the quarterbacks that you could get in the 100s to the 120 30s, they have rushing floor, they have upside, and you're picking them against players that just don't seem appealing to me where I rather bet on the quarterbacks to hit the upside than the RBs and the receivers in that range.
I know Hayden Winks has talked a lot about like, like maybe like Lamar versus like Worthy or something. It's like, why wouldn't you take the elite quarterback there who
Yeah.
expects to like produce better on a fantasy points above replacement level? But I like the point you bring up was like, well, that's also the same in the
Yeah.
back end of the draft. And I don't think a starting quarterback should go after 150. I think Aaron Rodgers, whoever we think the last like projected like quarterback is, should go no later than 150, 160. So I just don't think the market is appropriately pricing these quarterbacks.
Hmm.
And it's hard to not just want to consistently take advantage of that. Like, I don't think you should be able to get T Law at 130. Not that I love him, but just in terms of like what a quarterback is and brings to the table, I think he
And
should be higher. And DraftKings does a better job of that. DraftKings,
yeah,
my hot take is the DraftKings ADP is actually the sharper ADP.
that is a hot take because I've seen some crazy drafts there where it's like there's no way underdog would allow that. But
Kenneth Walker, Alvin Kamara, for what it's worth. That's where I'm going here without even
yeah,
thinking a second time about it. Dealer's choice.
Yeah, Walker, I'm trying to up my percent. I think I'm at like 18% Chimera. I'm like 4% Walker, where about a week ago, I was like, why am I so low on Walker? Like, it's one of those things where sometimes you do so many drafts, you get in the rhythm and you kind of bypass players because you can't draft everybody. Well, Walker's one I'm trying to be more aggressive with. I just think he's someone that could have maybe, you remember Josh Jacobs a few years ago, kind of just,
The
you know,
Oakland, the Oakland version.
the Oakland version where it was just, like he was good, but like, it just he was going in the fifth round, sixth round. And I think if things go right with Seahawks, where they could actually be a better team than expected, right? Sam Darnold's maybe a good quarterback, Cooper Kupp is healthy, JSN takes a step forward. Walker could definitely be a guy where, he puts it all together, stays healthy, and he's winning leagues.
I love his talent. I think he's a great rusher. If you watched Ball last year, it was insane the snaps over the head that the Seahawks had at the
Mhm.
goal line. I think there was at least three that I remember, and his injury luck with his abdomen's off. But he has talent, and I like Sam Darnold. I definitely think he could do something, and I
Yeah.
don't feel like his upside is priced in now. So you want to argue Charbonnet is going to mix in, that's fine, but I think Kenneth Walker is clearly the better running back in that draft field, and that's nothing against Charbonnet. I just think Kenneth Walker's good.
Well, it's like well, real quick. So we do have Kamara fall. We could do the one Jennings thing also with the 49er bet. Um, this is
One of those
interesting.
two are definitely the pick, I would say.
Yeah. I think I mean I feel really strong with the three RBs. I don't know how the receivers are gonna go. I think Juwan Jennings makes sense because we do have the 49ers.
I'm
And
fine with that, and also just because like they're that 80 to 100 range, like Swift and all that fun stuff. We could add a
exactly.
fourth back there where we're not gonna. I'm gonna get
Tony,
you to good.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I'm gonna get you to draft Rashid Shaheed, the goat this year, my goat.
You know what? Sell me on him because I've seen some smart people, way smarter than me, including Justin Herzog, talk about how he's one of his high drafted players. And whenever you hear that, it kind of, it's like, okay, what am I missing? And then I started doing some research and just kind of like, not even research, it's like, well, he's a clear number two receiver. Maybe Tyler Show's good. Chris Olave's one concussion away from ending his career. It's actually a good bet with Sheed.
Yeah, I'm scrolling down just to read you the little blurb that I wrote. I'll give you verbatim. So he was wide receiver 26 at fantasy points per game and half PPR last year. He scored 10 plus fantasy points in 4 of his 6 games played. He plays for in a dome, and he plays the Falcons, and then he gets the warm weather with Carolina and Tampa Bay. Um, and for a team that should be trailing most games, and they just added Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
I think there's a world where he's actually like the number one over Olave, especially like God bless Olave, like runs into some more health issues. I mean, Rashid Shaheed
Yeah.
looked like he was going to be a league winner last year. The reports out of camp seem like he's fine. I watched the interview; he looks like he's ready to go. I think people just don't like him because of the quarterback, him and Olave, the quarterback situation. But a team in a dome that should be trailing all the time and probably have a high neutral pass rate, like I'm just all in on that. And especially considering like that Rashid Shaheed has a real spike week profile to where like, yeah,
Yeah.
he might deliver you 3 and 5 points some weeks, but we don't necessarily care about that. We care that he brings, a 20 plus point game to the table any given week, and he could do it in 3 catches. I remember when he was returning kicks for the Saints that were 2, 3, maybe 4 years ago. This one probably 2 or 3. I was like, this kid could fucking play. Like he just it's hard to
Mhm.
look fast on an NFL field. It's hard to stand out there. And if there's a guy that stands out to you on a pro football field, I think that's something you should take notice of. So that's kind of like the vibe take, but the consensus is just like he's too low, pass heavy offense. They have Kellen Moore, they're in a dome, and I think he's talented and has a really nice spike week profile.
Yeah, I love that. I think you bring up some good points. Some people call him the 99-cent version of Jameson Williams, who were drafted in the fourth round. Um,
Cost adjusted, Jameson Williams, the 99-cent version of Rashid Shaheed. How's that for a fucking
there
clip
you,
for you?
hey, I love it, bro. I'm gonna post it on Twitter and have people go ablaze about that.
Oh yeah. You want to
Yeah,
post about me wanting more $5 contests too? Like I was getting death threats mailed to me because of
real.
that. So
Oh,
not
I heard.
actually death threats, but
Nah,
exaggerating, obviously.
it's so funny because I remember seeing that, and I feel like it's been so long since that happened, but it was probably what, like a month ago,
Yeah, give or take.
give or take. But no, she so like in the range with like the hundreds, like the only receivers that I'll take right now is Shaheed. I think Luther Burden is actually a good value when you bake in the upside of him being a rookie. where other rookies go. And then Rashad Bateman, I'll take sometimes too, because he's kind of like Shaheed, right? That profile a little bit. But other than that, man, it's mostly RB, quarterback, and tight ends in that range.
Oh, we're coming up. We're cooking a banger
Interesting.
here. We're
Yeah.
cooking a banger here.
Okay, so there's a couple routes we could go. I mean, we could do Ricky Pearsall, 49ers, Matthew Golden, maybe talented rookie, obviously Pacheco and Tony Pollard. I love Downs. He goes. So, I mean,
On the Pearsall side, it's something I want to write about in future, but that's a
yeah,
lot of your draft capital tied up in the 49ers. I like kind of building my stacks where I'm not like jamming all of
of
my
course,
draft
yeah,
capital at it. So like, and also I'm a Juwan Jennings lover and a Ricky Pearsall denier. So I'm
yeah.
not the guy to ask. So here,
So,
I'm probably going Pollard or Pacheco. And even we go Pacheco and maybe get Mahomes on the way back and you can build a nice Pacheco worthy
100%.
Mahomes
So,
team.
yeah, Ricky's a weird one where it's like, man, like I'll mix him in. Like if he falls here too, I just think he's too priced up right now. Where maybe he's good, maybe he's not. Like we don't know, and we're paying pick 73 for that when I know there's context, but like Xavier Legette put up a similar stat line compared to him, but he goes in the 150s.
Yeah, and the Carolina's an up and coming offense, man. I believe it. I think the defense is bad. They look great to click at the end of the year. They added a real X wide receiver. I think Carolina's going to take a lot of people by surprise
Wait,
this year.
I will say though, if he falls to us though,
Hey, man, it's your team. It's
I
your team, brother.
I mean, is this might be the latest I've ever seen him fall? Is there news or something? Man,
I
I
can't
hate
hate a man
this.
for taking him 88. I can't. Like, if you want, I'd probably go Mahomes here.
Man, I hate
But if you
this.
want to add your Ricky, like, I can't hate you for doing it around after ADP, especially when you have a 49er stack like this going.
This is 15 picks past ADP. We
That's
get
probably like $7 in draft capital value, I would say. You're getting about
it,
$7 off.
is that good or bad?
That's not bad. I mean, I get it. Like it's in the terms of the team being unique,
Yeah,
like I get it. I understand the if you're going for a unique team here, that's probably a not a bad option. Now are we gonna pull Purdy up because at this point I feel like
that's what. Yeah, well, that's the thing is like Purdy's ADP actually suggests he doesn't make it to us. But the one thing about overstacking is like there's certain ways to do it. When you take CMC ninth overall, but then when you get to the passing options this late in the 49ers offense, and we're just making the bet with Ayuk, right? Ayuk isn't the same guy. He's going to miss 6 games. There's a chance where the 49ers are top 3 offense. They have the easiest schedule. The playoff schedule is nice. Um, so I just think this is a good bet to make when it comes to that.
I will say we have 3 out of 4 wide receivers with the week
Just saw
14
that.
14 bye
Yeah.
right now. So we do have that playing against. But luckily, we should only need 3 wide receivers on this team to hit each week, depending on who our RB5 is. So that will help mitigate that. Which it's such a the relief that the high T strategy gets you is so big on the like not having to think about it. Starting 4 wide
Yeah.
receivers until he gets shot again.
That's a crazy word. I don't know. Did he? We're doing a stream.
I'll
I can't check
I'll
my
look it up.
phone
I'll look it up. Let me see. Ricky
because this is the
Pearsall. He
latest I've.
probably dropped a feature with Darren Waller. That's probably what
Oh
fucking happened.
yeah, yeah.
The 4th round pick and nothing, not nothing breaking today. Juwan Jennings is dealing with a calf injury yesterday. Meanwhile, Ricky Pearsall was nursing a hamstring. I don't think any of that's new information to us. So
No, and one thing too, the 49ers, like if we look back in history, there's always been multiple receivers going in the second round, third round, because this is a team that is just amazing for fantasy. So it's like we don't want to hedge, but to get maybe the top 2 receiving options where we got them, it could pay dividends, right? Obviously, if it works with Juwan and Ricky. Quarterback's not going high as well. This is okay. Mahomes does go, so we'll see with Ayuk, but this is a very interesting start.
And the other nice thing about like the stacking 2 wide receivers on a team is like in a way you kind of like get to rotate weeks. Like I think in most people's mind
Yeah,
they're thinking like both of these guys are going
no,
to hit my lineup each week. Where in reality it's probably like that can happen, but one guy's going to eat more than the other guy any given week, and so like you'll get to kind of rotate the Pearsall and Jennings
yeah,
bits from
and,
this.
and I think ping pong's important. Where it's like I think Chase and Higgins. I think it was like 2-3 years ago. You had I think you had Higgins have a 35-point week in week 16. Chase didn't do much, and then Chase had a 40-point week 17. So it could be where, maybe Ricky Pearsall goes for 25, 30 points week 16. Juwan Jennings does nothing. We go into the finals with a lower advance Juwan Jennings, and then he's kind of like a key piece for the finals for us.
How many guys behind us have QB? Because I'm thinking about trying to talk you into taking Rashid Shaheed and letting Purdy get back to
Man,
us.
I mean, yeah, let's look if anyone has any stacks for that. It's I think we could do it, but I think when you make a bet this fat, I think taking
That
Purdy.
that is probably fair. Like us getting Purdy, I think we could push him, but I can't
I
argue with
think
that
we
logic.
can too. I just if we don't get him, because there's also non-badgers like this guy. I don't know what he's gonna do. This guy's a non-badge, but he is, the 63%.
Aren't the Badge Bros like hating Derrick Henry and Derrick Henry and Barkley last year? Not the TM Badge Bros,
Yeah,
like guys with
yeah.
badges, not Nez and John in them. To be very clear, don't clip that.
Well, one thing too
Oh,
is
come on, Shaheed. I
yeah,
want it. I want
yeah.
it so bad.
Let Shaheed go. I mean, the thing too about like everyone has like 5 receivers and 4, so it's like they're more likely to take a Purdy, I think, than a Shaheed, but we'll see.
Come on,
Come on, baby.
please. It's gonna ruin my. I'm shutting down Draft or
See,
Pass if we don't get
see,
Rashid
I
Shaheed. The
say
site's done.
if he takes Shaheed, you should ban him because he's probably watching the stream. He doesn't though.
Give it to us. Give it to us. Come on.
Come on,
That'll be so big for this build if we could have that.
come
Spike,
on,
come on, give it. Give him to us.
come on. This is
Don't you
taking way too
auto?
long.
Okay, come on, one more. One more. If not, I guess Bateman, I guess, or
I
Ramondre or
guess.
something. But
Yeah, yeah.
I want my boy, the golden child. I have 50% for what it's worth through like 102 or
50%.
something.
Hey,
Yeah.
you got to stand your ground, and you got.
Boom.
That's why you trust me. That's why you trust me.
I do feel like Purdy would have went with how that board went. You were right. I do think Purdy would have made it to us. So good call on your end.
When you're top 3 in percent and building teams, you know the draft board, you
Let me
know
see
how
your
it
ranking right
works.
now.
Let's go, baby. This team is coming out beautifully. It's unique. It's talented. I love it.
You're 49 and 41 now.
Oof. All right.
You're barely below me. I have 54.5%. You have 54.4%.
It's because just wait till this team goes on it. Then it's gonna bump it up more.
This team is money. I'm not like, I mean, you're building exactly the type of teams I like. Besides the Pearsall, but I get it. But outside of
Yeah.
that, I mean, like, I might, if you replace Pearsall with somebody else, I might have this exact team somewhere.
Yeah. A couple things. One is the thing too is like when you take RB early, you naturally be weaker at receiver. But when you have the RBs winning through the flex and you're able to add a Pacheco, you only need to start 3 receivers. You don't need to rely so much on depth or so much on the firepower, because when you have 3 receivers and the bets we're making Tet is a superstar receiver 1 as a rookie. We're making a bet Worthy takes a leg up. 2 of the 49 receivers, like there's a pretty good bet that each week one of them spiking, and then Rashid Shaheed 50% owned by Big Loaf. He's a perfect spike guy, So I think this is a great construction of what we're doing right now.
Now I got to sell you on Jawan Johnson.
Oh, you
Well,
don't
I'm
gotta
about
sell me.
50%
He's
owned.
one of my favorite tight end clicks at the end.
I think he has tight end like one being like a top 12 tight end is what that means. Obviously, upside in him. I have no Taysom Hill
Yeah.
there. I think it's insane he hasn't gotten more steam. I don't know why he's free.
And you know what? Fuck the production, or I mean, this matters with production, but he's been on like what 2 BBM winner teams. I think.
I think so. It might be
Yeah,
3, dude. It
might be
honestly might be
3.
3. It's at least 2. So
You got
he brings the vibes. Like, we want guys with aura, and being in 40% of the BB winners. If that's not aura, I don't know what is.
So look, Sean says push the quarterback, which we did. We made it happen, guys. That's one of the best feelings, is when you're able to push something and still get the guys you want.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
I was gonna get off the stream.
I know, right? Shaheed gets sniped. I just see you disconnect. So with so much Shaheed, are you drafting a lot of Tyler Show as well?
I think I have around like 9 or 10% right now, normally because I'm just like taking the third quarterback before him, and
Yeah.
God bless me, I'm still not giving up hope. But in the early goings, I had around like 35% Anthony Richardson. And I still believe, I still believe that he could be a fantasy producer, but like taking A Rich kind of made the Shuck exposure naturally take a hit because A-Rich was normally my third quarterback for the most
Yeah,
part. So he kind of got pushed down because of that.
yeah, 100%. So we're coming up next. For me, clear break. Tyler Warren's the tight end I would like here probably the most. Loveland, I'm okay with. There's no receivers that I really like here.
I'm gonna
Uh,
Cedric Tillman pill you before after this rounds up. Or if you don't take him now, I am gonna Cedric Tillman pill you or attempt to. I
Please.
think Jonnu Falling's a little insane to be honest. I don't think his value is actually that much worse on Pittsburgh's. And if you remember, he was 90, and then the Pittsburgh rumors started breaking, and that's what
Mhm.
pushed him down. So I'd argue that people are kind of like somewhat double counting the
So
Jonnu to Pittsburgh shit.
yeah. Um, so you'll sell me on why Tillman's a great click, and I'll sell you why John News should be falling. So Jordan Love goes. I think Ty Warren's like a clear tier break when it comes to potential, like what we could do with this team.
I
Um,
get you to take Anthony Richardson.
well,
That's too much. We're not that close yet, but
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
it's not on the first stream.
I am Daniel Jones put a little bit too. I think A Rich is just gonna have a hard time keeping that job, even if he does
Well, the
start.
nice thing is DJ's probably going to be the week one over, so now it's DJ's job that he has to keep. And
Yeah, and that's where it's like you might prefer that, right? You want because if you have like a battle, you probably want the second quarterback that's going to take over than the first one. Just it makes more sense that way, right? Because it's like what was it? There's a quarterback. Well, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields last year, right? We know Russell was going to be the starter, but then Justin Fields became the starter, and then obviously what happened? Russell Wilson came and took over and started the rest of the year.
now, to be fair, I think that was planned and Russ was promised. I went to that game, the Jets
Uh huh.
game. I'm a Steelers fan, and I started to get the booze for Russell Wilson whenever we started sucking and get Fields in there. So I thought our quarterback was stolen from us. All right, so I have Cedric Tillman time before, and then we'll lock back in. I want to
Okay.
say when Jameis started, when he was healthy, he led the team in target share. I think he's a real X wide receiver. I think that kid flashed a metric fuck ton of talent, and there's like a way greater than zero possibility he's actually the best wide receiver on that team, even over Jerry Jeudy. Okay, well that was an easy sell.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Look, one thing that's beautiful about having guests on is like you're able to challenge my beliefs or you're able to open my third eye. Like I said, there's a lot of people that like Tillman, and I think
Can I
there's
buy
people.
this team?
Well, I'll say this: what I do with whoever I have a guest on is we split 50-50 regardless what happens. Um, so like it when this team goes to the finals and whatever performs, you'll be getting you'll be getting half of it with me.
All right, you definitely don't have to give me $1 million. You,
Well,
you, give, you give me
I'll,
something. You don't have to
I'll
give
say
me a milli.
I'll say this: when we win 2 million, yeah, you're definitely gonna
You
get
give me the
some
total
life
points
changing
money
money.
when this gets first place in total points. How about that?
Okay, deal. I got you. So yeah, so like with Tillman, so obviously, I think this is the thing that's interesting about fantasy too, because obviously Shaheed and Tillman. One of the reasons they're low is because terrible offense. What's going on with the quarterback? But that's also a buying opportunity. With Tillman's what the clear receiver too, and he obviously produced like a really good receiver last year. And so you're going into the season buying what he did, right?
Yeah, and I think if he didn't end the season on the concussions that he had, and it seems like he's better now from what I've read, and like the updates on that were very quiet throughout like the whole offseason. I think he would have got more steam. I'm not happy to see he's going 147 now.
He's
I
been
was
moving
reaching
up.
for him at 130 when he was in the 150s, so like I'm
Yeah.
maybe some of that's my fault, but I think the market he probably won't get steamed up too much just because like the Browns are a huge question mark and people don't like bad teams. But
Yeah.
that's the other thing about bad teams; they also score fantasy points, and a lot of them run the same amount of routes as good teams. And I think people are a little too low on bad teams and a little too high on the good ones at times. I do believe that like the draft good players on good teams thing. Devonta Smith is a great example. I think it's a little overly priced in.
Yeah. There's a couple things. Real quick, I do think if Bryce Young's there, we take him, we secure the Ted stack. Yeah, what do you think? I mean, look, week 14 by, but we are going to probably be taking three quarterbacks.
Yeah, you have no argument from me there. We'll get one of those guys like a Phoenix Falls. I'd happily. I love naked quarterbacks.
You want to make quarterbacks? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a stacks happen naturally all the time, and I just kind of let them come to me. But for
and you
here, I think we could just take Bryce and call it a day.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, the one good thing too about going RB heavy like we did is we don't need to take 600 running backs. Like I think this will probably be a 5 RB team. Let's say 3 quarterback, five RBs, what, like 7, 8 receivers,
Yeah,
and
eight
then
three. I
yeah,
think that adds up to 18.
yeah, and that's perfect. So, but one thing about the thing too is like when you look at players being discounted is like Shaheed and Tillman, if they got hurt, let's say you reverse last year where they get hurt and then they produce the last 4 or 5 weeks like they did last year, I guarantee you they're going higher in ADP. But it's because we remember that they missed so much time, we forget what they did.
I have no disagreements there. The recency bias is a hell of a so Penix went. I probably
So
wouldn't want to risk us getting boxed out on the third quarterback here.
So
Um,
we could wait for show, right? If you trust that, or we could take one that we feel better about. We could do a Sam Darnold too, backstack that. But real quick, is there any RBs that you like here?
I do like Tank Bigsby. I do think there's a greater than zero. Like I've been ETN pilled, and especially even
Yeah,
with him moving up, but I do think Bigsby probably projects to be the better goal line back, and I think he looked good last year. I think he looked like a
he
very good
did.
running
Yeah.
back.
The one thing about Tank too is he does have a different skill set than the other two. Where if Tuan's fumbling and Travis Etienne is not the good runner, like he hasn't been good the last few years from an efficiency standpoint. I think we take Tank and we stop here, and then we could still take a quarterback later. What do you think?
I would go Cam Ward and build the Titans back sack, but I have no
You want to do
concerns with
that?
Bigsby.
Oh
You
no,
go.
I'm cool with the
I was
Cam
just
Ward.
worried if we get boxed out a quarterback and we're rocking this week 14 bye thing, it's not going to have the sex appeal. That's my only worry. And I think we could probably add a different back when the time comes. Even and Cam Ward's
Yeah.
naked. You don't have to stack everything.
No,
I
no, you
believe that
don't.
from the bottom of my heart. Like things are, you build so many accidental sacks in your lineup like that you don't even mean to. It might just be a mini stack in week 16. It might just be like a
Mhm.
1-1 player stack, but genuinely believe it happens so like naturally so much more than people give it credit for, and you don't necessarily have to force that quarterback room. That's hot. That's real hot.
So this is what we're talking about, where you're building your team through your RB's receiver the first like 9, 10 rounds. And then like right here, Brock Purdy, he's shown he could be a top 6 quarterback. Bryce Young was one of the best quarterbacks down the stretch. Cam Ward, this is probably like the less advertised and number one overall pick's been in a while, I feel like, right? Um, so this quarterback room, it definitely, in my opinion, has enough to win it all. And we didn't need to pay a significant price for it.
I would say we probably spent rough estimate like 6 to 7%, maybe 8 of our draft capital at quarterback. It's definitely not over 10, and it's probably not over 8 either. It's somewhere in that 6 to 8% range, I'd say.
Yeah, and I'm excited to go over that, kind of look at the draft capital, because that is something that you're big on too, right? Is allocating your draft capital spend on each position.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big believer in just like jamming, like what I think my edge is. Like, I'm just going to outspend you at running back and keep up with you at wide receiver. And I'm just going to have most of my money spent on the positions that I have to start the most of. I know that sounds just
Yeah,
like, a little maybe simpleton esque, but like, like my bio says, sometimes the best thing to do is just use common sense. And why wouldn't I spend the most money on the players that I'm going to be relying on the most every
of
week?
course. Yeah, it's I don't know how you feel about like exposure blankets and this and that, but like I stand mostly in, it's like if I'm gonna be investing a ton of my money and drafting these teams to beat out, maybe what 500, 600,000 other people, I'm just gonna draft how I want to draft the way I see fit, because I think when you're going at it, you should, like, at least if I fail, at least I went with how I thought it should have been, rather than, okay, this guy likes this guy, so I'm gonna listen to him, blah blah, and then like I just feel like I don't have a strong stand anywhere.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think the balancing exposures is a little overblown. I think like in a perfect world, you have like 5 to 7 guys that you're over invested in. Like I'm talking like 25, 30% plus,
Yeah,
a handful of guys in that 15 to 20 range. And then like, some guys from 10 to 15, and then it breaks off after that. So like, I don't think you want to be full flat. I think you want to try to take advantage of getting some player takes right. I also don't think like I love Rashid Shaheed. 50% is definitely the cap. It's not going to be
hmm.
higher than that. I imagine that gets closer to the lower 40s as
And you know
time
what
goes on.
too? If he gets hurt, it's like, yeah, it sucks, but like he's a what, a 9, 10th round pick. Like it's not gonna ruin all your teams. But
I will say that you should be more comfortable having a higher exposure, the cheaper the guy
Yeah.
is. Now that doesn't mean go flat on all the expensive guys, but just don't worry about balancing if a dude has like a pick 120 ADP and you love him. Like that's cheap enough. If you really love that guy and think he's going to win you money, don't
Yeah.
have 25% of them when you actually wanted 50.
Exactly. I think that's a great point. So we're coming up. So there's a couple things. We have 4 more picks left, right? We for sure we need another tight end, Chig. I think Coker Elite makes sense for stacking if we want. I don't mind pulling players up. I think once you get in the last 4 or 5 rounds, you can do whatever you want. But is
Are you
there any?
Miles Sanders pilled at all? Have
I
you
I
bought into that the fact that he might be the RB1 there?
I have 26% BBM, Miles Sanders.
All right, well, mog it on me.
All right,
I say we add him, and then
and
we
we're
pull up
done.
either Chig or Jatavian
Yeah,
or Ellick. I'm fine with that too. And
yeah.
just pull up the stacks with the rest of the picks.
Yeah, like, I'll be honest. When I saw like Miles Sanders is like my second most drafted RB and BBM, it made me cringe a little bit because like it's Miles fucking Sanders. But at the same time, it's like when you try to like zoom out, it's like Javante sucks ass. Jaden Blue might be good, but he's very small and probably fits more of a certain role in that offense. I'm just gonna take Miles Sanders, who sucks the same as Miles Javante, but he's way cheaper. Like it just to me, this just makes sense to bet on that.
I have no qualms with that. Also, like Miles was gonna be the RB2 in Carolina before he got hurt last year. Like he was gonna be the complementary piece to Chuba. So like
Yeah.
Dallas did have faith in him. Like he just got hurt, and that's what happened to him. Like he didn't necessarily lose his role. He just got hurt.
He just got hurt, and
I'm not a Miles Sanders fan. I want to be very clear. But for the cost and what he can bring you, 26%. I have no issue with someone doing that.
two, like I mean, look, it's just more fun. But like he had like 2 touchdowns week 18. He looked good, and I just feel like Javante was on a way better offense and run blocking offense. You're cool with Chick here, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Like
Okay.
again, like you don't have to stack, but if you need a tight end anyway, and you could add Chig, who is a part of your stack, that's when I'm okay working. It was like, well, like why wouldn't I just stack here if I
I look at tiebreakers for stacking, where it's like if I think there's a certain flat tier, I'll just take the guy stacked with my quarterback, right? Like it just makes sense to do that. But back to Javante, like Javante was on a better offense last year, better run blocking, and he was terrible. Miles Sanders, like I feel like the scheme wasn't really fitting what he does best, like the Cowboys do. So I do think that there's more. We can't take away what Sanders done the last few years, but I do think we could be a little more forgiving compared to Javante.
and this is setting up as a 5-7-3, huh?
5-7-3, yeah, yeah. I would say, well, I mean, look, so we could technically stop at 2 tight end if we're just betting Warren is just that good and he's productive early. But I'm cool with taking a third tight end here. The receivers, I'm cool with stopping at 7-2. So we could just see whoever's the best players left, which I mean, these are probably the tight ends I would say we'd probably look at. Let me see. Has Darren Waller? We're not taking Waller, but I just want to see.
Oh, you better not.
No. I can't do that to you on the.
Did they
I
have
want.
to add him to the player pool today, or was he already there? Does anyone know the answer to that?
I have no. That's a great question. I'll tell you what though. They're like a buddy of mine was like, you know what, like he hasn't done his like Greyhound or it was a Greyhound or Corgi and it's like a seal entry. He's like, yeah, man, like I'm gonna be like one of the few that have Darren Waller, and I'm like, man, I don't even know if that's a great thing though.
You're talking to the guy that had the most John Mechie in BBM last year. And it was this close to working, damn it. The theory played out.
Yeah, John. I mean, look, you had the Diggs, Tank Dell both get hurt. John Mechie just had to fill one of those slots, and unfortunately wasn't able to. So Sanders goes. So yeah, I mean, I really like this team. 3-5-6-2. I think for sure Elick we want, right? Just to
Yeah, I'm not even like I think Coker's a good talent, but I'm not even entirely convinced that kid's gonna get the run in the 3 wide receiver sets. He might get traded maybe or something. Like
yeah. I think Thielen resigning kind of threw like it's tougher to see with Coker. I think Coker could be better than Leggett, but I do think the Panthers are gonna want to see what they have with Leggett
yeah,
first.
you spent a first rounder on him. I mean that stuff does matter. It does.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I want the 8-2 or the
It,
7-3. Nah, are you Amari Cooper or Deontay Johnson pilled or no?
I was like 30% Amari Cooper, and then I stopped taking him just because I just, it's one of those things where it's fatigue, where it's like, man, like
I
just
feel
sign
you.
somewhere. I would take Cooper over Deontay just because I think Cooper has a chance to sign with the Steelers, which I think would boost him up a lot, or potentially another team. Because he has to sign, right? Cooper or Keenan Allen, like one of them have to sign with a team.
Yeah, Mari's not undefeated. I again in my world of like, oh well, if I'm gonna die if this team
Yeah,
doesn't advance, I'm taking Amari here.
yeah. Do you want to go Amari here, or well, who do you like between these? Because Amari will fall to us, right?
Oh man, so
We could do
we
this with
Jawan. Fuck it, lock in Jawan, dude.
Luck and Juwan.
Yeah,
Okay,
you got the nice little Saints mini going on here.
I like that.
I think this team is a little thin at wide receiver, but I'm okay. I'm okay playing with fire that way. Here, especially with the running back talent we have, and I do think it's conceivable that we could get a week where if Warren has like a quasi ceiling outcome over the course of the season, and Jawan is like 70% as good as I think he's going to be, that we get a couple of 2 tight end weeks out of the squad.
Yeah, man. And you know what? I think the receiver thing is a little overblown where you need to be like receiver is important. Obviously, every position is important, some more than the other. But it's like last year, like I don't know if you saw like Ray Zeddy, he won the fast puppy and he had a crazy build. He had like four
Is
quarterbacks.
that okay? I was just about to ask you. Is it the guy with like 5 fucking wide receivers or whatever it was?
Bro, he had five receivers that won, and one of them was Dobbs. The other one was like Roman Wilson, maybe. So it's like this dude had Jameson, Addison, Dobbs. He had one more receiver. I forget who it is, but like that just proved that, like I just think that receiver is overblown a little bit where you don't need to, like, even if you feel weak at it, you can still make it. So we are on the clock right here. There's a lot of options. Man,
Alec or Amari, I'm fine. Again, it's your squad.
yeah.
The most I'm getting from this is $100,000. So
Yeah, right. Man, this is a tough one.
I will say Amari, I think, does bring you the better floor when he signs. That for whatever that's worth to you, I would say Amari brings the higher floor to the table.
Yeah, you know what, man? I think this could be the last chance that Amari, because if Amari signs, he's gonna move up regardless, right? Like Amari, no matter what's going to uh should.
I'm laughing at FFP Wizard in the chat saying he's does maybe, but at 200, it doesn't. I don't think it matters.
It's so weird because Amari Cooper's like, yeah, maybe he's dust, probably he's dust, but it's like he's 2 years removed from having consistent 1,000 yards receiver seasons. This guy legit won people a bunch of money 2 years ago when he put up a 50 point, right, week 16. But the thing is, like last year, he got traded midseason. He was dealing with injuries. The Bills spread the ball around. It's like I could see a lot of stuff where maybe Amari Cooper isn't dust.
All right. Can I make an Amari Cooper sales pitch to our boys?
Of course,
Have any of you guys seen the amount of clips on the deep balls that Deshaun Watson missed him on? And then are you aware of the fact that Buffalo was like the most like
run heavy.
distinctly like not run heavy, but the way they distinguish the volume or distribute the volume, sorry, like nobody spread it out like them. I think it was them, Denver, and Washington had like the three like highest like distribution. So like
Yeah,
he really wasn't even in line to get much work in Buffalo, and he was beating people in Cleveland. But Deshaun
yeah,
Watson, who is a jag off, it could not hit him to save his life. So I think the Wash allegations are a little overblown. Fuck, dude. I think Amari got drafted in 2014, 2015. I was still in high school. I was like a sophomore in high school when he got drafted. He's still in the league. And
mm,
all the Brown stuff has not given me any reason to think he's dust. And like Buffalo's just where wide receivers go to die.
yeah. And maybe he is dead, but it's like Hopkins. I think is dust, and he's getting drafted higher.
Yeah, why is DeAndre Hopkins above him? You Wizard or Sean?
Yeah,
Sell me on that.
or it's like, what, like Tyreek, I'm not comparing Cooper to Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill was terrible last year. And
Ooh.
he's getting drafted in the third round. So it's like, man, like, let's give Cooper some leeway. He's an 18th round pick. He's gonna be lower owned than most players. And if he signed with the Steelers, you know where he's going? If he signs with the Steelers, he's moving up 50, 60 spots
My
easily.
hot take is he lands on the Niners.
You know what? That's that. I think that makes sense because Brandon Ayuk's on the pup for 6 games. You maybe you're not confident in Ricky Pearsall. So if that happened, I mean, Mark Cooper's what, like a going around what, like pick 120, 130?
I don't think I think like and Sean and Wizard could absolutely be right, but I do think the Amari is dust. Like belief is going to keep him down. I think he probably caps out around 170 or 160, depending on like with people with more clout than me and yourself
Yeah.
start like pitching as the narrative. But if no one really like buys in that it has like real weight in the community, I think he probably caps out in that like mid 160s, low 170s range.
So this is one that's interesting where like the thing that gives me pause with Cooper a little bit, or just like maybe I'm wrong, is like, why hasn't he signed with the team yet? Right. That's the question. Like, but it's like, you know what, when you're old, like older veteran receiver, I feel like you kind of have the cards where you could wait to see maybe there's an injury, maybe there's a trade.
Yeah,
You know
pick
what I'm
your
saying?
spot,
Like,
not have to, like, maybe doesn't wanna go to the camp for a little bit, and which, like, isn't, like, bullish, but, like, yeah, like, I don't think it's because no one wants him.
yeah, I don't think it's that no one wants him as well, but we'll see. It's 18th round pick. The chance that elite does nothing is pretty high, right? When you look at like just being a fourth round rookie, there's a lot of rookies there, so could be wrong, but we'll see. But this is our team. This is the team that we built. So 3573. Kind of walk me through your thoughts on the team, and then if you want to put the draft capital as well.
Alright, you see, I'm gonna be able to, like, ballpark it for you.
Okay.
This is around 6 to 8% at quarterback. I wanna say my average is around 7 and, like, a half percent, so, like, pretty close to the middle there. 3 quarterbacks that we get to rotate spike weeks for, assuming health besides week 10 or week 14. That's awesome. I think Bryce Young and the Panthers are undervalued this year. I really think they're gonna come out there and surprise people with how well that offense is functioning. The O-line's good. Chuba's good. They have a real X wide receiver that I think is going to open up a lot of other stuff for them. So like this quarterback room, like I might have a version is that it's phenomenal to me. At running back, we went 3 of our first 5 picks at RB, including our round 1 pick. So this is probably like in that like 36 to 40% range at like the running back capital. I think the market probably stops around like 28 to 30 a lot of times from what I've seen. So I definitely think we leveraged the,
Hmm.
the the RB room here. We're definitely coming in with more firepower than most teams. Wide receiver is a little thin. I'm not going to argue about that, but something's got to be kind of thin. I'm willing to hear like with the non things from Amari. Like even if he plays, maybe he's like a 5 point, 6 point, 3 point, two
Yeah.
point, like 15 point guy. So like I get the concerns, but like I think you're gonna get good CLV there. It's gonna be a team that you can't draft in the future. I want him to
Hmm.
sign, same as you, just the fatigue aspect of it, because like he's starting to compete with Shahid. I think at like 40%.
Yeah.
Amari, so like I need him to sign and go up so I could quit fucking doing this. But Tillman, Shahid, love those guys. We're stacked to the tits. We had a big 49ers stack. I think that's cool. And that tight end, that's probably 4% or so, if that even, of our draft capital, which is in line with me. It's the position I spend the least on for the most part, and a
Hmm.
lot of that's because I think it's insane where you could get Tucker Craft, David Njoku, Jonnu, or maybe Jonnu
Yeah.
before that. Even Likely, who I think could see upside, and maybe doesn't even need it when they finally realize that he's the best offensive weapon they have when they get there. Remember that week 1 game against the Chiefs, dude? Oh my
Oh,
god!
oh
If you woke
yeah.
up from a coma and that was the first football game you watched, you'd be like, this guy's the best player in the league, I guess, huh?
Hmm. Yeah, I remember watching that game, and I was very upset because in my main league I had Mark Andrews. So I was like, this is bullshit. I wasted a fifth round pick on a tight end, and I didn't even draft a starting tight end. So I remember that game very clearly. But I think that's a great team. And you know how we talk about like sometimes you're gonna have positions that are weaker than others, but this is how I think playing like you're right is very important in these big tournaments. And when you look at the receiver, it's like it's weak from different aspects, but like if we're playing the game right, we got Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall. Those are the top 2 targets outside of Kittle for Purdy, right? We're playing the game. Tet is going to be this year's neighbors. Not necessarily the same, but he's the guy getting 140, 50 targets. He's a receiver 1 down the stretch. And then we're just saying that Rashid, Tillman are 2 of the best value picks. So that's what the way I like to play with my receiver room if it is a little thin. And I think we did a good job with that.
Yeah, I would click a draft on this team, and I would pick it probably at like a 70 to 75% clip, if not higher, in a head to head format. I would pick this over some of my own teams. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I love hearing that. This is definitely a fun team that we're gonna be able to watch. And I'll be DMing you like, hey man, like, we're third overall in points.
And it's all because of Amari Cooper.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe not. I'm not gonna.
Maybe,
I'm
maybe
not gonna
not.
go that far. But like I like the discourse. I think people take it a little bit too personally sometimes. So like I like it when like it's good. Like I'd rather someone convince me that I'm wrong than just kind of reinforce that I'm right. It's good to have your perspective challenged.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? It's always, I'll say this, like I've been the same way. I haven't been drafting much Cooper lately because like I said, it's fatigue. It's like when you have 25-30% of a player that's not signed yet, those thoughts start to creep in. It's like, what am I doing? I'm drafting basically a player that's not gonna play. But I think it makes sense either way if you fade him or if you're on him. And for this team, we're drafting like he's gonna, sign with the team and obviously ball out a little bit. So yeah, so let me label this box stream with the Big Loaf so we could be watching this later. Awesome.
Bing bong, baby.
Yeah, I'm excited. Very excited, man. Um, real quick, anything that you wanted to plug or what you got going on, this week and the rest of the summer?
I definitely would expect to see me streaming a little more on the draft or pass thing. I'll probably just do streams where I like go over head to heads and stuff and like kind of like break down the teams, not just complete voting, but it's like a good medium for me to be able to like talk about draft capital, player takes, and all that while still voting on it. So I would definitely expect me to be streaming a little bit more recently, or in the near future, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
Outside of that, like check out draft or pass. I think you guys are gonna like it. We need to get someone with more clout than myself and Nick to kind of probably give us that boost to get us to the player base that we really want. But like I'm working on it, and I like to think it's gonna take off to the point where maybe people aren't gonna they can't resist any longer. Like you just have to participate. So that's my goal. But
Yeah.
expect that to like be a lot of what I talk about in the near future. I'll go back to my spreadsheets and all that at a certain point, I promise. But I'm kind of in like Big Loaf CEO promotion mode right now, and that's going to remain the same for next week or so.
No, I love, man. I appreciate you coming on. First time promoting Java Pass on my stream. I think it went very well. I think a lot of people are excited for the product and they're rushing to sign up right now to click, to do it. Obviously, please, guys, I have his Twitter, Big Loaf, and his YouTube channel in my descriptions. Give him a follow, give him a sub. He's doing great things, a lot of fun things planned, and I look forward to you coming on again sometime this summer.
Oh yeah, bro, it was a great time. I'm always down. Like just feel free to reach out, dude. I'm always game.
Of course, and I appreciate everybody in chat who vibed with us. Talking shit on the Mari Cooper pick. Still still love you guys. Still appreciate you guys. But yeah, if you haven't, hit the sub button, hit the like button, and I'll be back soon. But till then, peace out.